This podcast can be found on Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Hello and welcome to the Paper Prototypes podcast. I'm here with my guest, Tito, and today we're going to be talking about his game, Pigface. So Tito, why don't you tell me a little bit about Pigface and how you got into game development?
A little bit about Pigface. So Pigface is, I gotta remember the spiel that I've been using. I went to PAX and I used a little a spiel. Pigface is oh my god, I'm completely blanking. It's a combat sandbox, essentially. So it's a very grungy mishmash of a few things that I'm very inspired by. And it's kind of like, not really like a Hitman simulator necessarily, but you're blackmailed by this mysterious group of people and you're forced to do wet work for them. So you go into levels and you get the job done however you see fit. You can build your own loadout with all sorts of stuff that you collect. And it's really fun, and it's very violent and splashy and just silly and fun. But yeah, that's Pigface in a nutshell, in the shell of a nut. And how I got into game development, the very real answer is that I just it's a long. I could give a long-winded answer. I think I will. For a long time, like ever since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to create stuff, no matter what. Like I wanted to be an author. I wanted to make music, and I've done some of those things, which is fantastic. But it doesn't really pay at all. But when it came to game development, I've always talked with like my brother and my friends about like games I wanted to make, and I never knew how to do coding of any kind or whatever. When I got my first PC, like my own one that I built and paid for, I think in like 2019, I decided to just try it out, like try learning. And it was also just a great way to procrastinate my classes because I really didn't enjoy going to lectures. So out of that like stubbornness, that tenacious like hunger to create stuff, I just ended up making games, or making a game now, though I've made lots of little prototypes and stuff. And then it led to a publishing agreement, and then that's why I'm still doing it now, because it actually pays. So
All right. One of the things that caught my eye when I was looking at Pigface is its art direction. How would you describe it, and why did you go the route that you did?
that's interesting. There was a long time where the game just was kind of like not struggling necessarily, but like it just didn't look good to me at all. And I think there was a distinct moment. I don't remember exactly what it was from. I guess that means it wasn't a very distinct moment then, was it? But I distinctly remember that I found out about like photo source textures, and I've always been enthralled with like old source games. Like Half-Life 2 is just such an incredible game to me because just like how it looks amazing. It's just got that perfect fidelity where it's still a video game, but it looks real enough that you're very immersed. And then learning a little bit about photo source texturing and how you do it, I was like, wow, this is like you don't have to do any like digital painting really. Like you just have to make textures kind of seamless and work together. And a lot of the heavy lifting is in the images for what the game looks like. So I obviously wanted to go in this very grungy direction because like everything that I've loved in art since I was a kid is stuff that's like grungier or darker in tone. And that sort of like Manhunt-esque look to the game is just like it's what I like a lot. So when I'm designing it, it's just, the ease of photo source texturing because I was able to find like lots of sites that have images that I can use and stuff like that. And it's easy for me to model as a single person making this game and like texturing and stuff like that. And then the other side of it is that because it's this like grungy, broken world in a way, it's fairly easy to make the levels make contextual sense because they're all pretty much abandoned and just covered in garbage. So rooms don't have to have like proper room layouts. They can just be full of boxes and stuff, which makes, again, my job as a solo dev easier to create this. So it's a combination of like what I really love, which is those like high contrast things with like hard shadows and lots of dirty stuff and garbage strewn everywhere. And then also the practical part where it's like, I can't digitally paint textures and spend my time doing that, or else this game's never gonna get finished. And I can't fuss over all of the rooms in this setting making sense. I have to just go like, this is used for garbage. There's a bunch of bricks over there, whatever. Like that works, and then it all kind of meshes together nicely.
I feel like that grunge just extends throughout like the entire game. So like
Mm.
the enemies just feel like they are strung out on the drugs they peddle. And you feel like just the John Wick of that, but your character also just feels dirty because of her motivations, I suppose. The world is like falling apart around.
Mm.
How is the town? How is it falling apart so badly in this video game?
Yeah, so that was something someone brought up in the DreadXP channel a little while ago. Someone was just asking a question about that. And I think, like, again, so a lot of creative stuff is like finding compromises with things, right? So for me, a lot of getting this story done and figuring out how the game's going to go is like things are not said explicitly because it's more fun to let people imagine things. Like the fact that you're asking that question is just interesting to me in and of itself, because like all I've done is kind of make this stuff exist here and cut corners as best I can as an artist slash creative guy. And then it makes you think stuff, and that's the goal of storytelling in my mind, is that you want to just get people to ask questions, and then feel satisfied sometimes, but always wanting something more. But when it comes to this, I think what I'm landing on is that the jumpsuit gang, for instance, they're a bunch of people that have escaped prison and completely overtaken it. So that implies that this city doesn't really have any form of law anymore. And to a larger extent, and this is something, if Pigface ever gets a sequel, I would love to explore in more detail and more explicitly, because I'll have more time to think about it and more of an excuse to flesh it out. But to a larger extent, like the world or the region that they're in is kind of just run by gangs, essentially. And the mysterious group that has you captive is essentially trying to clean things up and take the biggest slice of the pie. And then, that's going to go as however it goes as the story unfolds. But essentially, yeah, there's not really any law left. It's almost apocalyptic in a way. That's another one of my fascinations ever since I was a little kid, was apocalypse and apocalypse settings. So to make this more interesting for myself, I've just kind of slowly over time just been like, fuck it. It's basically an apocalypse of some kind. I don't know. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just like clearly the world is not good anymore. It's hanging on by a thread.
The thing I found interesting, because I did pick up like this whole world is falling apart, but not in the sense of like usually when there's the apocalypse there's like a meteor or a nuclear fallout. I feel like this one is just the safety rails of society have fallen apart. There is no longer anything to bind people together. It is apathy at max, and all of society has fallen into rubble. And the real problems, because there's like graffiti everywhere, which is like a sign people don't really give a shit about anything, I found very fascinating while playing, because it made me feel like just the John Wick of of a bunch of weirdos.
John Wick of shitville.
Yeah, pretty much. Which makes me feel shit, because they're sending me in, but I'm just cleaning up what feels like a bunch of like strung out losers. Like I'm not much better at that point.
Exactly. That's actually one of the when I was going to be a bit more mature and serious about this, but then realized it was a video game and it can be funny and campy and stupid. I wanted to have a level. One of the levels going to come up is an abandoned mall, and one of the side objectives to that, back when I was like, oh yeah, this I want to have like little entities that walk around and don't actually attack you or whatever. One of the optional objectives would be to just kill a bunch of people that were tented out over there, like camped out.
Oh no.
That just didn't have weapons, and I was like, it's supposed to make you feel a little uncomfortable, because it's like, oh, it's so fun being John Wick and all that. But then it's like, when you're asked to just go kill people who don't have any weapons, it's like, okay, I don't really feel good about that. But like, the character also doesn't give a shit at all, and that would imply more about her, which, you're controlling her and all that. But I've kind of turned it around to where it's like, I also feel like that borders on like really people not getting the point maybe, and it seeming a little grotesque. But I have been like penciling ideas for an optional level that'll come at some point, where it's essentially a real estate developer person purchases a property and it's basically filled to the brim with junkies. And then he just orders you to go in there with a chainsaw and kill everybody and get rid of it because he doesn't want bullet holes in the walls. So you have to use a chainsaw because blood is easier to clean up than than fixing holes in the wall. So it's like there to make you feel a little uncomfortable and set the tone for the world. Because, you know, from the beginning, Exit is not a good person by any stretch of the imagination. And being able to imply that or enforce it is something that I want to do by the time this game's, like, done.
So, another thing I wanted to ask, what were a lot of the inspirations for making Pigface? Because of... I picked up on Manhunt just right away in terms of I just feel like a bad person in a bad world. But also, is there anything else that was inspiring you? I feel like I picked up New Vegas somewhere, and I can explain why if that is an influence.
Yeah, I'd love to hear explanation. Yeah.
So there is one thing that the road to the road to Novak. There is a couple of cones with landmines underneath them.
Dude, yes, you got it. Yeah, you got it. Absolutely.
I got that. There is a boss called Chef in the level, just like Cook.
Yeah.
And then the villain that's leading it all is Caesar. I just picked up on that right now as I'm talking to you.
Yeah, the Caesar part actually was like, in truth, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of dislike that name because it's like such an obvious like, oh, it's the leader of the evil people, but. There was a reason for it, and some other characters were going to have names that would reflect it and then also like show up in the story. Like there's going to be a character called Brutus, and then there's another person with like a Roman type name that I'm still not sure if I want to share the name in game yet. I need to find a reason to. But they're the person on the phone, and that like implies stuff about the story. So I won't say anything now. But it's cool that you got that. I didn't even realize like the Caesar thing like. Until after the fact, but yeah, the chef and then the landmines specifically were very particular. Mainly because I just have such fond memories of running into them and getting jumped by the Vipers or whatever they were called, the snake gang.
The Jackals as well, yeah.
The Jackals. Oh, it was those people. Yeah. As a funny section of that game. I love that game to death. It's so good. But yeah, on the broader topic of like what's inspired me for this, one of the like the game that I say inspired this the most is Cruelty Squad. I love that game to death, and the gameplay loop is like I just was like, oh, I want to do this, but my version essentially. That's it. So, and like on the more general note, like the reason that this game was made was because I was developing like this horror game at the time that was like a walking sim thing, and I was just so out of steam on it, and then realized like. Me personally, I would never pay for this game, whatever it is now or what it was going to be. And I also just didn't like it. I enjoyed developing it because that's honestly like a video game in and of itself. But I was like, this isn't something I would play. So then I was like, what would I play? And it's this game, which I still have just whenever I add new items, I just play the shit out of it. I just love making stuff in it and just I don't know, just I'm my own biggest fan, essentially. So it's very fun to fuck around in.
I've struggled with that myself as a dev because sometimes I'll be making a game and I'm like, I don't think this is fun that I would like this. But I've interviewed other devs that aren't gamers. They just like making games, which is just a fun little thing that some people do. I'm like, okay, sure, man. It's like hating painting, but you like finger painting. Like, okay, go for it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because I know for a while actually I was not playing any video games. But I kind of like go in and out of like playing games and then not, and then like I also like this is awful, and if you've never played this game, never play it, but I've fallen into The Binding of Isaac, and it's like an unending video game. So I'm like stuck playing it forever now.
I got lucky
it's just so
that
fun.
The art style makes me feel ill. So I'm like,
good.
This game's working too well. I don't like this.
I also didn't really like it, but then I was like, there's so much chit chat about it, and I love roguelikes because I mean, honestly, I think at the end of like when you're developing stuff, the most enjoyment you can get out of games is games that do things that are very random or unexpected. And like my other favorite game that I haven't played in a bit, but I'm just hoping for more content, is the game Caves of Cud. It's like a traditional roguelike.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome. It's just such an interesting world, and it's like games that just don't tell you things, and you have to trial and error, and like I don't know. This is kind of a side tangent, but like when you start making games, then when you play a game, you start to see it in a completely different light. Where like I don't know, playing a subpar game that is like very obviously like, oh, this is just tutorializing this thing. Here's the next event or whatever, blah blah blah. It's like, and then you can just start guessing the beats almost, and it just becomes kind of sad. Like,
I
I don't know, it's a weird thing.
I understand that because I used to live next to the Hard Rock Casino, so people would be like, "Oh, let's go gamble," and I'm like, "This is a Skinner box. Why the fuck would I play this?" Like, I can just see all the design behind like roulette and all this stuff, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just designed to siphon money away, and then you win, and that's the RNG of the dopamine to keep you coming back. The same way getting
Yeah.
like a random 5 gold per goblin kill makes you feel good. Like, it's just I see
Yeah.
what's the underneath is, and now I'm angry."
Yeah, exactly. And
But
it's just it's a very weird thing, but you know, it's one of the I don't know, it's a blessing and a curse when you know how the sausage is made, I guess is how to put it.
But you did bring up tutorials, so that was going to be my next question. How did you make and how do you feel about diegetic tutorials? Like tutorials that feel like they're in part of the world instead of just like you've hit the tutorial level before you play the game.
I'm saying this as a 25-year-old man, but as I age, I I love the tutorials that are this is a tutorial more and more and more and more. I like when a game can tutorialize things in a way that you don't expect it, but there are some situations where just like illustrating it as obviously as possible is like definitely the route to go, and it's like the easiest way to do it. I feel like in some ways, um, I've kind of like done half and half with Pigface, where like you know I've designed this whole warehouse that's specific to tutorializing stuff, but like it makes contextual sense in the world. Um, but designing that, I hated it. So it's like it's asking a lot of people to do it. So I understand when developers don't do it. I understand it especially when it's like indie developers or something like that. If it's like a team of people, maybe it's you know I don't see anyone getting super pit. I see people getting mad at the like yellow paint stuff, and to a degree, I disagree with people who get mad at it. But I also understand why there's frustration because people just want they don't want the easiest, most obvious answer to a question. They want to like, or a problem rather. They want to feel like they're problem solving or have to guess stuff. Like I just mentioned this, where it's like the games that I like playing are the ones that kind of kick you in the pants and don't tell you things, so you have to like actively participate in order to learn them. And like in some ways, having tutorials that are very obvious can really take that feeling away. So it like can wreck immersion and stuff. Um, but it's like there are some things where it's you know I had this dilemma for myself where I was like, how the hell am I going to tell the player to click a specific key on their keyboard to activate a flashlight or something like that? Like it feels stupid putting that in a written note in a video game because it's like no one would write that there. But at the same time, it's like that's just how it has to be. You have to compromise in some ways. So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing.
I just because some games will be like, here's this random enemy, and I killed him. I'm like, why did they put like this random grunt in this room in this tutorial? And I liked how in Pigface, it's like, oh, we hired some people to kill you, which makes sense because you're fighting against like the whole theme of the game is everyone is a piece of shit. So yeah, it would make
Yeah.
sense there were people trying to kill you if you were like $50, go in the room and kill that guy, and it's the enemy gang that you're supposed to kill. So you know, you just lure a couple suckers in, get them killed by exit, and that's the tutorial.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit in a little bit because like it doesn't take that much effort for me to then record that line and then just establish that as why they're there versus just having them pop up. Not to say like I'm reinventing the wheel, but like yeah, it does do a lot when it's just that little thing. I actually had this moment with DreadXP, my publisher. I did like a first pass of like cutscenes, and I'm doing quotation marks around the cutscenes. Initially, there was no like camera pulling back to show Exit standing there smoking a cigarette or going to eat a sandwich or doing pull-ups on her bathroom door or anything like that. It was just like fade to black and then cuts to her on the phone, like first person, like you holding the phone and then just stuck there as you were told exposition. And it's only like, I don't know, 10 extra seconds. And like it takes a hell of a lot longer to set up the actual cutscenes of like the camera moving by and showing that. But it adds so much more, even though it's not necessary. And it's the same thing with the tutorials where it's like just a little blurb that contextualizes stuff completely can change people's opinions about how it feels. Because I'm thinking about it now, and if there was just a room where it was just the pieces of paper and no phone calls, and it was just like, there's enemies behind this door, here's a hammer, go kill them, rather than just having a piece of paper that says that, having the handler say it. Yeah, I guess it adds a lot. So, I don't know.
Well, that was going to be my other question, was going to be, how do you, since you do have characters, how do you like characterize them and choose like how you want to frame shots? Because while you only get a couple of seconds with each character, I feel like just based on how Caesar interacts with our handler, I know a lot about Caesar. I fucking love the handler's voice. Holy fucking shit. So,
thank you. That's me.
Oh, really? God damn, you did great on that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Thank you.
He ate every scene he was in. But yeah, there's the handler who I feel like is like, I really empathize with, just like he's running shit, knows how to do it, but I feel like he's tired. And then there's Exit herself, which is just like, seems happy-go-lucky in every shot she's in, despite how like shitty the apartment is. She's like going to make a sandwich she ate, or she's watching cartoons, violent ones, but cartoons at the end.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like the characterization, right? Like that's why I was so happy with the cutscene, because Exit's a blank slate, very much on purpose, of course. And like, I think one of the final cutscenes of the early access should kind of tell you a bit more why, because it's like she's a very flawed individual. But yeah, when it comes to that, it's like a lot of my decisions when it comes to that is improvisation, I guess, and like means to an end design, where it's like I have plot points or things that I need to reach, and I'm not someone who plans things out very well in advance, because I just get bogged down. I'm much better if you kind of put me in a pressure cooker and say, like, you have a week or something like that. And this isn't to say that my publisher's doing that. It's more that I'm doing that to myself, where it's like, how I am now, I know that I will come up with the ideas that fill the gaps when the time comes. So, like, the little moment where the handler kind of slams the desk after not getting a raise or whatever, like, that's... I just like came up with that while designing the cutscene, because I was like, I need to just have conflict to kind of imply that the story is going to go somewhere, and kind of show that there's tension between Caesar and this handler person. And then there are other moments like that I have planned out. Like there are two like flip the script moments that I really want to get to make soon. Not get to make, but like get to in development for specifically the story points, and I'm very excited to get to those when the time comes. But yeah, for the most part, it's just like I had the basics of these characters. Exit being like this shell of a person that has this past where it's more so what has she done and who is she, rather than this is who she is. And then the handler is like, as you said, seems tired, seems like they're maybe fed up, and then ramping that up as it goes on is kind of the MO for this game, at least in this story.
Is it on purpose that it feels like Exit's motivations are reflections of the player, where it's almost like we don't have a real reason to be killing half the people, other than at the end of the day, the player just wants to commit violence?
I'm grinning. Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. That's because she's a person. She has a past, and she has done horrible things. But she is a character that, like, I don't know. There's that like farty term called ludonarrative dissonance or whatever, where it's like, I'm interested in having like a protagonist that's just actually like a horrible person, where it's like, it's not even like they are killing all these people and it doesn't affect them and it doesn't matter because they don't care. Like she laughs when people's heads explode. Like she's having fun. and she just enjoys violence in the same way that you, the player, really are just playing this because you enjoy the splashiness of, you know, someone's head exploding and the silliness of this world and whatever. So it's two things. It's not that it's not that it's all thematic and it's like, or a metaphor or whatever, but there is the element of that, just the same way that there is all the elements that make up who Exit is as a character, as a shell, basically.
I love that ludo narrative is like an amazing term to be used in the game's design, but a bunch of video essays have made it feel artsy fartsy.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's horrible. And also, like, anytime someone comes up with a term, it's like it's it's like you're just looking at your watch waiting until it becomes lame, because, you know, it is too many syllables. You can't say something with that many syllables and expect people to take it seriously for the whole time. Like, you know, but I do like the concept quite a bit. Although I think in some ways gamers don't understand that. I had another interview where one of the last questions was, or no, it was like, when was it? We were talking about something, and then I mentioned like The Last of Us Part 2 or something. Because I really love that game, and the other person, Jake the All-Right, he also loves that game as well. And one of the things that I feel like people get wrong is like the whole ludonarrative dissonance argument. Like, at the end of the day, it is a video game. You have to, like, you know, you have to take it as that, but it still tackled it as best it could as like a, you know, 28-hour video game. Like, geez Louise, it's so fucking long. So, you know, sorry, off topic, but
No, I get it. I can get pretty off topic on this podcast as well.
yeah, it's fine. It's frustrating whenever that sort of thing happens. Oh my God, when I was at PAX, you could include as well, to make up for the time. But when I was at PAX, there was like people that were coming around to do like general video interviews about the booths at PAX. And someone came up to me and just like kind of handed me a microphone. They're like, awesome, okay, we're gonna do a really short interview with you. And I was like, sure, awesome, great. And then they were like, all right, and then I'm gonna ask you your first question. And they were like, tell us about Pigface. And then immedially I kind of blanked like from the beginning of this, where I'm just kind of stumbling over all my words, and there's a camera pointed at me, and I'm like, yeah, I was like, oh God, oh no. It's just like those stressful, it's stressful. I don't know. It's crazy. Name a woman. Anna Kendrick. I don't know. That's the first one that comes. It's probably because it starts with an A. Fuck.
I don't know. My mom. I don't know. It's a woman. So
My mother. Yeah.
So I guess the next question I do have
yeah.
would be, how do you design levels? I felt like they were really maze-like, which is, again, perfect for a world that's not built for you, or a world that's angry and falling apart, so a level that's like hard to navigate does fit that. But there are moments where I'm like, I feel like I have 2 health left. I'm just going to get the main objective, leave, and I got lost and did all the side objectives and got every mask every time before I managed to find the real objective.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Accidentally,
That's
I would
cool.
complete missions every time.
That's so funny. I really like that, too. Like, one of the, just side to this, but like, I don't know, I haven't thought about it really, but like, I don't have like objective markers at all. Like, it's kind of just these short explanations of what you need to do, and then it's kind of just like figure it out. And I never process that, mainly because I would have to go out of my way to actually make like pop-up objective things so people know where to go, and I just never did that. So all the while I've been playing this game and just know where everything is, it's interesting hearing about how people just kind of stumble around and are like, where the fuck am I going? Where is this thing? And have to find it, which is just like, I don't know. It's not that it's not intentional, but it's like, it's just cool to hear that it's working, I guess.
Well, and also, I feel like I didn't get lost. It was frustrating because whenever I see the objective kill every enemy, in my head, I'm like, oh God, there's going to be someone in the bathroom, and I'm going to spend 30 minutes looking for one motherfucking piece of shit. And that just didn't happen. I would be looking for an objective, done someone, and go, oh shit, that was the 40th guy. Okay, that was convenient.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that as well. Like, funny enough, for those objectives, in QA, would end up with people being like, where the fuck are these guys? So one of the things I added was that if there's 2 enemies left and you open your phone, and I don't know why I made it this, it's so arbitrary, it'll just highlight them in red for specifically those objectives. So you're not gonna find one person in a corner and go like, oh my god, where the hell are they?
Oh, I didn't even know that. I just kept accidentally
yeah.
killing everyone.
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. And also, like, that was a weird decision for me because, not to say that it was the wrong one. I think it's better because it just feels more like the appropriate thing to do for a video game to like just say like, okay, you've got almost all of them. Here are the last two or whatever. But part of me is like, if you can't find the last guy, tough shit. That's kind of the point where it's like, because you have to clear everybody out. Like if you miss somebody, then yeah, you're not going to get the optional objective, but that's why it's there. But yeah, let me go back to the initial thing about design as well, because I kind of sidestepped it with my own thing there. The way that I design stuff is I don't know what my strengths are, so I'll always default to saying this because it's the only like actual tactic really that I've come up with. And as I said, like I'm really good at the improvising stuff. So what I'll do is I kind of like I make like a big box, like an empty shell of what the thing is supposed to be, and then I just fill in the walls where I deem appropriate, and like a very generic way.
I want you
and
to
then
know if that's what it felt like. Like as I'm playing the level, I'm like, I feel like he just drew a box and threw this in the middle, which is actually really good because I feel like that way I can't get lost. I'm always contained.
Yes, yeah. And the way that I'll do it as well is like, so I fill out all those walls. So for the instance, the farmhouse is based on an actual blueprint of a farmhouse, and I'll make it not like to scale, I'll make it to my own scale, but then I like punch holes in the walls or block things off to make it feel more mazy or designed. When in reality, I'm kind of serendipitously coming up with an interesting design. It's in a weird way, it's almost like, this is the most not even close, but I'm just thinking about it. It's like have you ever heard of like rice maps? Where you'll pour a bunch of rice down on a sheet of paper and then draw a map out of the shape that it makes.
Oh, yeah, for like D&D, like other world building projects. Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah. So like, and I've done my own. I've tried to like DM a couple times, and I've done my own like designing maps and stuff, and like, it's fucking hard until you base it off of something, and you're like, oh, this is easy. Like the map in Pigface, funny, it's just a picture of Detroit but flipped, and then I cut it in half and then pasted it on the other side. It's just Detroit.
I feel like there's a metaphor with the art of the game and Detroit, but I'm not gonna link it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I did go texture hunting on Google Maps in like Gary, Indiana once, and I was like, this is too dire for, I can't do this. This is almost like poverty tourism or like exploitation. I can't.
I recently moved to the Midwest, and yeah, I'll pass farms where I'm like, what the fuck? I thought the Great Depression was like 80 years ago.
Yeah, and it's like, no, there it is. I mean, it's funny enough, the other part of the design that's so inspiring is that like, this is just what Hamilton and like the Niagara region in Canada looks like, basically. Obviously, it's amped up a little, but like, I could just go to Hamilton and turn a street and then be like, oh, hey, look, it's the main menu of my game. Like, it just is this industrial, funky thing where it's like this shit was built with a very specific purpose, mainly industry earlier, and now it's inhabited by people. And Hamilton's, of course, like the good ending of this, where it's like now it's artsy coffee shops and a jazz club or something, and it's nice and people bike around. But if I don't know, if a terrible situation happened, it would probably just end up like that. And there are obviously not so nice corners of that. Also, like St. Catharines in Canada is like another huge inspo, because like I went to school around there, and it is just such a topsy-turvy town. It's got like this funky shit everywhere. Like there's multiple layers to the city. It's not huge, but it's built on like a hill, and like a giant river / gorge cuts through it. And again, it's like that. It has lots of industry. I'm pretty sure there's some abandoned factories down there. Yeah, it's a combination of just like looking in my own backyard and then interpreting it and like putting it through a filter of things that I've already always liked since I was a little kid. Which is just like the grungy apocalypse type setting. But also, yeah, going back, just to finish my thought from before with the like shell design or stuff. Or I guess I'll wrap it up in a bow, not go back to it. But yeah, it's just making these things either to specifications of a blueprint or just kind of guessing. Like I just went and did one of the optional levels is like just an apartment building, and I'm right now at the stage where I'm just filling in the generic layout of just these are the walls, here are the doors, these are all the rooms, and I've just now done the first uh I guess demolition job where I've blocked off an entire hallway and I've made a ramp that goes up and then around outside two windows so that you go off this balcony and have to go in through a busted window to get to one area of it. So it's like it has its basis in like a boring, simple design, and then the fun part is blowing everything up essentially, which then just feeds back into the whole like this needs to feel more grungy, more like an apocalypse, because then the levels are more interesting.
Okay. Um, what's what if I guess what's been how have you been creating objectives for your levels?
Mm. Again, it's more improvisation. Although I will say that like as I've improvised and come up with these things, like there's three main gangs that you're going to be fighting in the game, and I won't say what the last one is yet because I don't think I've really said it anywhere. But they aren't necessarily the guys that you see outside the warehouse. Those are part of your own group, but it's kind of like there's like a hierarchy, like an economic flow almost. There's some notes in the Smiler gang levels that are like talking about their drug shipments and whatever. And in the train station, there's a note about their exports and imports in a train car that's guarded by a member of the jumpsuits. Um, and it talks about how they've been importing weapons and explosives, and they've been exporting drugs to uptown, downtown, and I don't know, Shitville or whatever I called it. I don't remember. Um, but it's there to kind of explain, like, you know, these objectives seem a little arbitrary, but it's because you're kind of um, you're cutting things off from the bottom up. Um, and then, you know, there's the story reasons as to why the landmines are there, and there's people in police uniforms because the jumpsuit gang are people that like make or manufacture explosives. So they give those to other gangs, or in this case, just because the world's so finite right now, but like just the other gang. And then, you know, it's like a trade system. And then that's how it'll go. And then when it gets to the next gang, um, I have to think about like timeline wise for myself as well, like how many levels are actually going to be spent with that gang because they're kind of the last bit. And then with the way the story wraps up, like I got to just think about it. But I'm sure you'll see them for at least like two missions or potentially maybe three. It just all depends on time. But yeah, those guys, like, they have their own reasons for interacting with the jumpsuits, which you will find out a little bit later on. And then in the end, I hope that people will be able to look at it holistically and go like, okay, so this is the, like, I can trace the path that Exit went on with relation to the handler and Caesar's motivations and see why we did those objectives and, you know, why we had to kill these people. Even though, like, it doesn't really matter why we had to kill those people. Like, you could just be put in a room with a double barrel shotgun and a guy that explodes and have fun forever. But it's there as a means to an end, as well as providing this kind of story that isn't really told to you. It's more shown to you.
Um, hmm. So your games come out in early access. What are some big lessons that you've taken away, and how are they going to influence you going forward?
Big lesson to taken away. Games are hard to make, is for one. I know that if I were to do a sequel of this magnitude or something, I want to work with other people. Because I'm working, like, I have one other person who I, like, regularly work with named Crisp. He goes by Still Crisp on Twitter, and he does all of the music for the game. And it's just incredible, and it's great, and it's like, you know, I have funding to be able to do that, so I can just pay him, and then like a day later, boom, here's the best shit you've ever heard in your life, and it's like awesome. That made my job easy because I don't have to think about it. And a lot of this game, is me being stubborn and wanting to learn, which is, I think, a good combination of things to be, is wanting to do things yourself, and also having the capacity to kind of learn and grow from it. Um, but there's a limit to that, because I mean, I've mentioned it many times, but already, like, I'm a solo dev, so like we've had to change some things in the game design document where I was like, yeah, this is totally achievable, and then it comes time and I'm like, no, it's not, because that's ridiculous, and I'm one person, and you know, I don't have the time to do that, within a reasonable, like, frame for the publisher as well as my own sanity. But yeah, like, that's the biggest lesson. And the other thing that I've maybe like learned, I haven't learned, is that people really like this game, and a lot more than I thought, and I shouldn't be as worried. It's not like I was like biting my nails or anything before release or something like that, but I really was not expecting the game to be like overwhelmingly positive with the amount of reviews that it has too. Like, it is blown my expectations out of the water, which is nice. And I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. I want more negative feedback in some ways. I want people to tell me what sucks about it and what doesn't work, and like hold me to a higher standard. But I don't know. Maybe that's something that like all devs or people feel like, where it's like, no, I'm obviously I'm phoning it in for this thing. You should tell me that this is bad. But again, people don't know how the sausage is made, or don't know what corners that I cut to get the thing that is the end result. And I think maybe what's more important is what you have at the end, rather than criticizing yourself throughout. So, yeah.
I'm surprised it's taken me this long to ask about this, but we've talked a lot about a lot of things that have piqued people's interest when it comes to Pigface. But one thing I don't see in really any FPS games I've played in a long time is there's not really any cursor. So what was the decision to remove the cursor, and why does it feel still intuitive to be able to navigate without one?
So this is kind of a weird thing. This is like, it's not super weird, but it's like, this is just a me thing. In most games that I play, um, and I know I just sung the guy's praises, and I really love how we've done the music for this, but I turn music off in most games, and I turn off the HUD, almost always. Like when I would play like Stalker or something like that, I turn off every indicator. I'd play Skyrim without a crosshair. I'd play like Kingdom Come without a crosshair, stuff like that. I just like not having it for some reason. And to me, it's very intuitive feeling to just know that where the kind of like the dead center of the screen is. And I've also done a little bit of like, work to make it feel a bit more intuitive. Like, oh yeah, and also I was like addicted to Tarkov for a while. Like, that's another clear thing. Which again, also same thing as Binding of Isaac. Terrible game. Don't play it, because it's so good that it will ruin you for a bit. But yeah, I really like not having that stuff, not necessarily intruding, but like that's the little like kick in the pants, figure it out that I can do as the dev. Like, I don't want to be too mean, but to struggle to find your dead zone at first, or the center of your screen when you're shooting from afar, um, feels kind of interesting, I think. And then, like, the game at one point didn't have aiming, like how it is now, where you can aim down sights. And perhaps it was a little better in some ways when it was like that, but with the way the game is scaling up, it's better to have aiming. But I don't know. It's like it's a little bit of magic, I guess. I don't know. That's the best way I can describe it when it comes to like dev stuff, is like when you don't know something and you have to kind of figure it out yourself, or it feels a little unintuitive. That to me just feels like a little bit of magic, bit of pixie dust or whatever. And that's what I feel like that is, because bullets come directly out of out of the gun barrel, so they wouldn't even line up with the cursor. And funny enough, I've recently developed these like the dual M9s that you can get in the game, and shooting them is really fun. But because they come out of the actual barrels, they're not like accurate at the center of the screen. You have to you got to do a bit more guesswork to actually get like headshots. But they're just more for the cool factor, to be honest. So, yeah.
I have a problem where I panic flinch. It's why I can't really play games like Rainbow Six Siege. Like, if someone rounds the corner, I'll panic and hit the roof. In fact, there's
Yeah.
a comment on one of my videos about Due Process, which is like an indie Rainbow Six Siege, where someone's like, "Nice guy, went 10 matches, 0-0 KD." Um, but
That's awesome.
I was surprised by the amount of times I'd round a corner, panic, and still get the shot and go, "Oh, okay."
Hmm. I don't honestly, I don't know what the fuck it is, but like it seems like the bullets just want to go to people's heads in this game, weirdly. I don't know why. Like I've had so many moments where like I'm just like super far away, hip fire with a pistol and hit a guy in the head and it just instantly kills him. And I'm like, "Oh, all right." I mean, I don't know why that's happening because like there's also dynamic inaccuracy when you're moving, you're supposed to be a little bit more inaccurate. Um but I don't know. There's something about it where it just seems to work. And there's definitely a world where I could see it feeling a lot more frustrating. Like I had just mentioned Tarkov and hip firing in that game, at least when I played, you don't know where the fuck your bullets are going. I hate that game. There were so many moments where I would round a corner and just unload an entire clip into some guy. And I was using like dumpster guns, like some SKS that was like busted. But it never felt like the bullets were going where they were supposed to. Whereas I don't know what I have done to my game, but it just feels like the bullets are going where they expect, like where you expect them to go, which I think is the secret sauce, where you don't need a crosshair, you just kind of feel it, and it's like, oh, that is where they're going. So,
What was the because your game also then you talked about why, but your game also doesn't have a lot of UI. There's not really any health UI other than just the screen getting red, and it's very minimalistic in what. Do you feel like that, like the lack of UI, can contribute to the mood or help set a mood as well?
yeah, yeah, I think actually you asked me before about diegetic tutorials, and I feel like the stuff to go above and beyond in certain ways are like a diegetic like HUD elements or something like that. That stuff like that gets me going. I love it. And like dude, we didn't know how good we had it with like people make fun of like Call of Duty screen jam or jelly or whatever. That's actually a genius way to tell your player what their health is. That is so smart because you don't need to look anywhere on the screen. You just continue doing what you're doing and then you can tell that your screen's getting redder, so it's like, "Oh, I'm dying, I should stop." Like that's so smart. And I'm sure they didn't like invent it. It's just it's like, the most common thing that people will like refer to or whatever. um but like it just adds a lot. And like something that I'm dissatisfied with is like the cell phone objectives UI, because it's really just text and a list.
Mm.
um in my ideal world, what I actually wanted to do was have more of like a stalker type PDA. But then I went with the flip phone because it's so like Y2K, it's like coded. It's just like perfect for the world. Um, where it's just like, I don't know, it just feels like it fits more. And like realistically, I could have the phone like, you pull it up and kind of like golden eye look at it or something, but then I would have to design UI for it, and I don't want to do that. So that's more so the reason why it's so minimal, is because UI, it pisses me off, even though I want it to be better. Like I've said already, like if there's a sequel to this, it'd be more people. And like one of the things that I would want to get right is having more interactive elements, like um, the laptop being where you buy stuff and go to a map and stuff like that, and then the cell phone being more of like an interesting interactive thing that you can use rather than just displaying something, because it's just like it's almost a little bit too flashy to not be used for more, which is why I use it in cutscenes, and it's like, how you get all your information given to you by the handler. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. What was the original question
Oh
about
fuck me, I don't
the?
remember.
Yeah, now I'm just prattling about UI, which I don't know. I love hate relationship with it.
Oh.
This is yeah. I just have one side story. This is just so stupid, but like there was one time when I was playing Borderlands 2 with my friends, and I was just kind of idling, like we were waiting to do something, and I was just like mouth agape looking at how the UI would sway when you had like the little inventory open and would pan around your character. And I was like, dude, this shit is so good or whatever. And now my friend just makes fun of me every time. He's like, "Oh, what is as good as Borderlands UI?" I was like, dude, I get that I'm a little too excited about shit that's boring, but like, come on, it sways when you move, and it was so well. It's got your character right. It's so smart, just so well done. So,
In case anyone doesn't know, diegetic in terms of UI means it's in world. So the biggest example would be in what's the Dead Space? Your health is the
Yeah,
electricity on your back. It's like it's an element in game instead of on your HUD.
so
Um,
cool.
I wonder if that's why AAA games can be as detailed as they are. Not because they have the budget, but because their team structure means that there is a dev to go, I want to do this. This is cool. I'm going to hand it to someone else and make them do it.
Yeah, 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 exactly. That also like that on its own as well got me thinking about I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 a bit because I never played it before. And to be honest, I'm like, I don't really get the whole Rockstar storytelling stuff. It really just feels like you're doing like driving around. I'm more interested in the. My girlfriend and I talk about this in this respect. We call it the girl games of video games, where you get to just play dress up and like make your horse and stuff.
Mm.
Rockstar is the best fucking awesome girl game. It's just dress up the whole time. You can dress up your dude however you want. You can trim his beard. You can pet your horse. It's fucking sick. It's like the best horse game that is not like Barbie themed or whatever.
My
Um,
girlfriend is a big horse girl, but doesn't. She likes video games, but isn't that into them. But she got Red Dead Redemption
mhm.
2.
Yeah, and dude, my girlfriend was saying she's wanted to play that too, and I was like, I totally understand why. This is totally up your alley in terms of like just customizing your little cowboy doll. Like that's awesome. And not to say that, that's all she cares about in a game, but she just doesn't like she doesn't like violence in games too much or doesn't like combat. And I was like, no, this is great. All the stuff that I've done for combat is basically like on rails shooting, and then it's just tender storytelling with a bunch of gruff dudes that you can dress up. Like it's fucking awesome. But um, something I was thinking about when playing that was I was like, I'd seen a video a while ago. I think it was by Nikki Jakey, where he was talking about like how irritating it is that like over like when you play the game for long enough, it's like when Arthur goes and reaches for beans under the counter or whatever and like checks everything really slowly. And I'm like, I feel the opposite, where it's like I'm really happy that there's a AAA studio that like dedicates time to shit that like if you were to put it on paper and think about it in like a meeting or some shit, it'd be like, well, the player's probably gonna get bored of this after a while. And it's like, but that's so vapid, Like there should be more boring shit in some ways that like
Oh,
takes time like that.
my most dogged opinion is friction makes a game, and the reason AAA games feel so samey is because they have all sandblasted any sense of friction you could get from their games,
Yes.
which includes the
Yes.
character.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's like such a perfect way to describe it is friction. Like that's the most fun I have in games is when there is friction. When I don't understand something, when I'm trying to figure things out, or when stuff is just like, even stuff that's just boring. It
But
takes time.
you gave me such anxiety with the first time I died and saw that I lost money, and I'm like, oh, so I can just like go broke and then be fucked. Okay, this sucks.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, that's something that I just needed to have there because I want there to be an incentive for not dying aside from the time loss as well, because it's like you really are just losing the time that you spent in the level. But I do find it more fun, and it also opens up an avenue later for like I don't know, maybe some sort of hardcore difficulty or something. And I'm not gonna no promises or whatever. It's like it's sometimes unsafe to share ideas like that because someone might come back later and go like, "Hey, you talked about it like this," but um, it opens the avenue for that. And also, what's funny about that? I was thinking of having if a sequel gets made, which I more and more I want to make one because there's so much in this game that I want to explore that I just don't have the capacity to do right now. Something I was thinking about is there's still going to be that mechanic of you lose money when you die. And it would be kind of like a Skate 3 or Skate series like Thrasher Hall of Meat thing where it will show you where you got hit and killed, and then it's more depending on if you got shot in the head or shot in the leg or whatever. I want to add health insurance that you can get where you can pay. You pay like a set fee every week or some shit, or every whatever in the game. And then that'll lower the cost of dying. But the funny part is that it's totally not balanced and you're losing way more money by doing health insurance because I think insurance in general as a concept is a fucking scam and I hate it. And it's really hard to like cancel it in game, like with the in-game money that you have. Not like real money, obviously, but like
This is the most.
I would just love that sort of silly ass mechanic. It'd be so dumb.
That is the most cruelty squad ass answer I've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I love so much about that game too, is like there's shit you can do where you're just fucked and you're like, "Oh, what? Why?" And it's like, "Well, I don't know, it's just funny." It's funny for the dev, it's interesting for the player. It's just cool. When I oh man, you just unlock. I haven't played Cruelty Squad in a while. I played a little bit of Psycho Patrol a bit ago, but I remember the first time that I like died and got severed or whatever, and I was like, "What the hell is this? Like, what the fuck does this mean?" And then going and interacting with doors, and they don't do anything, and then it's like this whole system that's just so obscure and weird. And then I went and did the thing where you get to, I forget what it is, but it changes it to like the death mode or something. And if I recall, like again, I haven't played in a while, but it was like irreversible, and I was like, "Fuck, what did I do?" Like, it's just so cool. Mechanics like that, just like they add so much magic again to a game. Like it just becomes magical. It's just so fun.
I guess my final question would be, it's oftentimes really fun to put Easter eggs or inspirations in your world. I've picked up a lot of stuff from the graffiti. What's been your favorite Easter egg to put in the game that you think players might not necessarily find, but you really want to share?
Yeah, this one, honestly, this one just needs to like get worked on a little bit more because it's so like, it's pretty bare bones, but it's simple enough. I wanted to put aside from the already like very blatantly clear like No Country for Old Men inspiration, I wanted to put well, I didn't want to, it is there. There's a briefcase on the Sunset Motel level that's next to a tree that's just full of some money. And it's so ass right now. Like it's this big brick of cash and you pick it up and it's like $500. And I didn't write any save data, so it'll always be there in that level, no matter what. But it's it's like a reference to the movie where Llewellyn goes and finds the briefcase from the drug deal that went bad and picks it up, and it's like an absurd amount of cash. And I want to go back and do that justice because not a lot of people know it, because it's like you already have to walk in a direction you like you don't feel like makes any sense for the level. You have to like walk to the boundary and then turn right, and then there's this path through the corn or through the wheat or whatever the hell it is. I think it's corn. Yeah, it is corn. And it's a really long walk, and then you end up with that briefcase that's just like $500. But that's just a fun one. And some people have found it and they're just like, "What the hell is this?" Like, I don't know what this is. So I need to add like a dead guy and like a hat there or something. Maybe play like a custom sound effect, and like I want to make the money like actually worth a lot. Like maybe I'll make like $5,000 or some shit. But you know, I'll probably revisit that.
Hey, I picked up on New Vegas from Landmine in Cone, so maybe other people have picked up on Briefcase by Tree.
I will say that's like my other one, that like you're the only person I think that I've heard mention that it by name for it. So I'm really happy with how that one turned out, because it's like it's such a it's a little nod, but people who know, which is the best type of Easter egg.
Oh, I mean, I just saw the broken ass road, the landmine, the cone, and I'm like, it's like you hit me in the hammer with that memory, and I was like, oh, that's where that's from.
I ratatouille'd you. I fucking ratatouille'd you.
Oh,
I remember I played Fallout New Vegas when I was 9, and it was amazing.
Oh, I wish. I played in high school for the first time, and my best friend came over and went, "Dude, it's my favorite game. We should play it." And I was like, "This is fucking ass." I kept, so but I couldn't stop thinking about it because there were so many good ideas, like particularly that's the powder gangers. And I've never played a game that hits just such interesting generic ass enemies. Like every other game would be like, here's bandits, but like I'm gonna go on a tangent about New Vegas instead of closing the podcast if I stay here any longer.
No, I mean you mentioned the powder gangers, like funny. That's the jumpsuit gang essentially. I didn't realize it till after I designed them, but I was like, oh, they're blue. And they came from prison that they took over, and they make they're powder gangers. Like I didn't realize it till way later, but that's just who they are basically. So that's another, I'd say maybe more obvious one, but I loved those guys.
You have man versus machine, man versus God, all of that. Somewhere in there is man versus New Vegas or Mr. House.
Yeah.
And so with that, I think that kind of sums up the podcast. Thank you for being on. Is there anything you want to shout out while I have you on? Any links to your game or Discord or a local pizza place?
Local pizza place. Actually, I want to shout out the game The Lacerator, by my buddy Fernando. He's also working with DreadXP. I was recently playing it. It is so fucking funny and good. So this is a bit of this is like something that might get me killed, but I fucking can't stand survival horror for the most part. I really dislike it. I really, really, really do not like Silent Hill, Silent Hill 2, the Resident Evil games. I don't like them. They bounce off me. Something about that and tank controls and all that, I can't do it. It irritates the hell out of me. But this game, The Lacerator, it's like a tank control survival horror game, but it's just so campy and funny. And like you play as a porn star named Max, and it's just like that alone. Guy goes to porn shoot and gets put into a basement with a guy who's going to cut all his limbs off, and it's like this just giant maze where you have to do little puzzles and stuff. It's just so fucking funny. And like there's one puzzle that like and it's like what I love about it is like it's campy in the way that it knows itself, so it can have some genuine moments while still like being very funny. Like there's this amazing dream sequence thing that happens where it's really cool and says a little bit about the guy Max's backstory. And it's like, again, it's kind of played for laughs, but it's also like, oh, okay, this guy's a person. That's, it's kind of touching in a way. And then after that, you have to solve a puzzle where you walk down a hallway and you can't proceed, and then you press A and it pans to a feather on the floor, and it's like, I can't walk past you because there's a feather blocking my path. And you have to go find a fan to like blow it away. And I was like, I love this. It's just funny. It feels like a video game, and it's just, it's great. So I can't recommend that enough. The Lacerator. Go play that. Don't play my game. Go play Lacerator. It's fun.
Okay, I'll put The Lacerator in the description. There you go.
Yes, absolutely.
And with that, you can find me on Spotify or on YouTube, wherever you're watching me. Podbean, a couple other places. I think I'm on Apple streaming. I don't know. If you want to see what I'm working on, feel free to follow me on Twitter or bluesky. That'll be down in a link tree down below. And also in the link tree will be a Ko-Fi, where donations are helpful and keep the show going. So I think that about covers everything.
I'll pay you after this.
If you want to.
I will.
Well, I accept bribes. Here first. I think that covers everything, so until next time, bye.
Bye-bye.